Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? It's your man J Kev.
Lake Taylor.
Here, two shy guys in a microphone, just here, dropping a pebble of positivity, coming to you live from the studios of the headquarters of Wacoinda, Wacoinda Central. And yes, Avengers did come out this week, so we are heavily under attack, but we're still going to go live and have a little conversation today. Just today is going to be like a random Saturday conversation. Kind of hit on a few points that kind of came up in our thoughts and minds today with respect to some of the past and recent conversations we're having. So today we're going to talk about a few things. One, remaining coachable and making sure in order to instructions that's going to help us along the way in our journey as far as leveling up and getting to that level and achieving those goals that we all want to achieve in our personal life. So number one, we're going to talk about remaining coachable and how important that is and how essential that is, that in your journey, in your walk, that you're able to mentor others, and while you pass on the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that you've gleaned from others. And then also we're going to talk about co-op, how important that is within a community, and how when you level up personally, how things like the co-op and community can help advance everybody that decides to link together and align themselves with one another. And we're going to hit on some other things too, talking about focus, the power of language, and two shy guys at a mic in our brand. So today's kind of an open conversation. This can go a number of ways, just depending on how you all participate and some of the things you add to the conversation.
Kimba, do me a favor if you can. We don't have our computers. Of course, the bell's going to ring.
The bell tolls.
Do me a favor, share this where you can, if you will. I appreciate that if you will. Because I don't have my computer as normal, so I can't share it to the normal locations. I shared it to Kevin's timeline, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is I was doing my daily showering and washing up. Usually in the morning when I prepare, especially before I go to Sabbath school, I was just thinking about living in the present. And that's something, that I don't know if we really think about, living in the moment, living and enjoying the time in which you're occupying at this very moment. I was thinking about my children. Well, thanks, Fred. I appreciate that, bro. I was thinking about my children in particular, my family, my wife, and I was actually thinking about the scripture. Think not for tomorrow worry about itself. And how freeing that actually is. A lot of times, we think about bills, we think about pressures, things we have to do, things that need to be done down the road, securing our future, all of those kinds of things, while not enjoying the present time in which we live currently. And so that's something that I was really reflecting on this morning. Kevin, just give it up, bro. You suck at the tech. Don't even attempt it, man. Kevin's head will be down the whole time. He's terrible at it.
He tried.
But I was really just thinking about living in the moment and really trying to squeeze the life out of every second that you have on this earth. It is very important. It is very important, especially when you know people that have passed away, people that die, and you think and reflect on the fact whether or not you utilize the time with them as much as you could. So I think about those things off and on. Like I've mentioned plenty of times, I've had plenty of family members that have died at very, very young ages, older ages, and those kinds of things. And so when I start reflecting on that, I always remember what it felt like when I had conversations that I didn't share, or that hug, or that time that I could have visited and I didn't do that. So I want to make sure that I spend the time and just reflect in the moment. Of course, work has to be done. You do have to prepare for your future and those kinds of things. But even while doing that, you can enjoy the process, you can enjoy the time in which you spend with people, the time in, you know, to embrace people, the kisses you could have given your children, the hugs, those kinds of things. So I've really been thinking about that throughout the day today.
Yeah, those are very important and poignant things to think about every day. Just, you know, like you said, the time, we don't know how long we have in this plane of existence on this earth. So just enjoying moments like these, like just this morning when I came out, the birds were chirping, the sun's out, it was quiet, and it seemed like it was just a perfect moment to have in which you can just like be like, man, this is a great day. It's a great moment to be alive with where I am in this location and with where I have to be with respective to time. So, you know, take all the chances you can get to grab those moments. We're on, like I said, we're on top of the roof right now. The sun is out, the clouds is out, it's shining. There's beautiful people walking around. So grab those moments while you can, when you can, because you just don't know what comes afterwards. We don't know what our future may be. So yeah, that's very important, hitting on that.
What's this from?
IG.
Oh, okay.
Hey, IG,
Instagram.
what's up?
What's up, Instagram peoples? But yeah, there's also one of the things we just wanted to just, I guess, open up the conversation. If any of you had any ideas of things that you would like to discuss, things you would like for us to discuss, feel free to drop those off. It's been a very, very interesting week, very good week in terms of what was going on in Wacoinda. Some great videos have been shared by our members, which is awesome. Of course, we gotta mention my girl Latrice and the video she dropped yesterday. She actually dropped 2 videos, and which was very interesting. Somebody actually asked me a question regarding that today, which is why I'm thinking about it now. Of what you know about cooperative economics and exactly how that works.
Okay.
So just in general, I'll use Latrice's example. Because it was the perfect one from the standpoint where her family, they all live together. And I actually know people behind us that do the exact same thing. They live together, and what they do is they pool all of their money, POOL. They pool all of their money, all of their resources. And what's going on, La Tierra?
Yeah,
and
La
they
Tierra.
invested in that one household. So, for example,
So it's the original co-op.
yeah, it's original co-op. It's actually what the church was. If you read Acts and how the original church started, everybody gave everything that they had, and they basically used it as a unit. It's the same concept. So Christians should definitely understand that concept, which I'm sure a lot of them don't, because we don't grow up in those kind of environments on a consistent basis. What's going on?
Well, it goes back to the need and the essentialness to really cultivate and have discussions and talk about it, and how it's important to all of us, and why that's being instilled in groups like Wacoinda, and why, and what that's the foundation on which it stands.
Yeah, and also going back to what Kevin's saying is the reason why we speak about love and collaboration and those kinds of things is because when you have a loving environment, you don't mind sharing the inconsistencies in your life, right? A lot of people are embarrassed or ashamed of not being on top of their finances because we live in a capitalist society.
Yep.
And lack of resources is one of the biggest sins, right? In a capitalist society, you know, if you don't have things, or if you're falling short, you know, then you're played, you're busted, you know, all of these things that we associate with being poor, which are very derogatory. So you don't feel free to share where you lack.
Man, can I hit on that for a minute? Because now you got me thinking about the importance of self-image.
Yes.
And how it's important to make sure that we know the source of our self-image and what we are, because when you know that frees you up to be free, loving and giving, and the cooperative. It frees you up. And just to, you know, kind of nip it in the bud, your self-image, the source of that comes from us being imagers of the Creator. So this nips a lot of things in the bud in that when I didn't have an understanding of this, I often associated my self-image with how much I made, what my position was, what I did, what I didn't do. But once I realized that my self-image comes from...
Oh, congratulations.
Something's going on over there.
Graduation outside.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
You know, our self-image resides in that we are first and foremost imagers, little vessels of the Creator. So that in of itself is freeing and is powerful.
Yeah, especially if you look at yourself from that vantage point, right? A lot of times our perspectives are based. What's going on, Abdul? How you doing, bro? A lot of times our image is based on what we think other people think of us.
Yeah.
And so you get yourself caught up in that. See, Latier said the co-op extended family construct is not supported by society because as capitalists, they know they can make more off of us as individuals as opposed to a unit.
Yep.
And that's really what it boils down to. You know, it's the controlling thing, right? And going back to the image and how you view yourself, you can basically, we put ourselves in our own traps.
Yeah.
We entrap ourselves, we ensnare ourselves, and then we reinforce that image that we put on ourselves because of what we see on television, what we see in the internet, what we see in entertainment, those kinds of things. Again, it's like if you understand marketing, that's what marketing boils down to, is make you feel less than if you don't have X, Y, Z. If you don't have my product, then you're not really the person that you should be in life. You can't live up to your potential unless you have this product. And whether it be the product or the lifestyle, you know, Rich Homie Quan, you know, the Young Thug lifestyle, you know, we promote that subconsciously. We promote that in the way we talk to people. If somebody's broke, then we don't have time for them. So we reinforce that kind of mindset into our society, into our daily living. And so whenever we struggle in one of those areas, then we feel less than, and we definitely don't feel like reaching out to people for help, which is why Latrice's video yesterday was so powerful, is that, and this is actually the second one where somebody reached out and helped her, and she was like, at first she didn't want to accept it because, again, you know, we talked about it, our ego, not necessarily even our ego, but our perception of who we are. We don't want to necessarily feel like we're vulnerable or need help. So when somebody tries to help, especially financially, it's like it feels weird.
Pride gets in the way.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Pride gets in the way of the help that you actually need to make yourself to be better, or to take on assistance, or even receive somebody's blessing to you. And so it becomes, you're stuck in a conundrum, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, and it's very difficult to deal with. And I think about this I think about it with myself. I actually, when we were talking about it in church today, I actually wrote my wife and told her, I was like, you know what? I was like, write down all your fears, all the things that you fear and why you fear them. And I'm going to do the same, because a lot of times the things that we fear and the reasons why we fear them are made up by us only. And at the end of the day, they kind of don't even matter. So the things that hinder us from moving forward, or from asking for help, or, you know, because you don't want to be seen a certain way, a lot of those things are self-imposed, like we said, and it just keeps us down for no reason. We keep ourselves down, we keep ourselves entrapped. And so going back to the cooperative model, if we create an environment of love around the cooperative model, then we can actually help and share one another exactly the way we need to. Because sometimes, like, I can't help Kevin if I really don't know what he's struggling with. If he doesn't make it, you know, plain to me, you know, it's like, if I can't approach him in love, like, hey man, you know, I want to help you, how can I do so? And if he can't trust me enough to be completely honest and transparent, then I can't help him. And then guess what? It hinders both of us.
It hinders the community.
Yeah, it hinders the community because, go ahead.
Like you're saying, Latrice, and you know, in that example, one of the things was that even though you know darn well you need help, you don't receive it. Yeah, you don't receive it. You don't ask for it. And what that does is that hinders the flow of the spirit or the move of giving and love in the community, in the co-op. So that's why, you know, we're talking about the importance of cultivating a spirit, a heart, a mind of being coachable and being one willing to receive instruction. So I just wanted to bring that up. What's up, IG? How y'all doing?
What's going on, peoples? Yeah, let's see. I'm going to go to some of these comments over here. let's see, he said, need the help, but do not want to feel like a failure or ashamed because of insecurity. It's exactly, Maurice. And again, that's self-imposed. A lot of those things are self-imposed, and we don't even realize it. Like Rayshawn said, self-imposed incarceration. See, don't make the world your paradise. Yeah, don't make the tenets of the world your paradise for sure, Raheem, because that's one of the things that I don't know, because again, I came from a manufacturing background in marketing and design, so I understand what material goods are, and actually that opened my eyes to materialism and the things that entrap us. And sometimes when you realize how things are made or products are made, it gives you a different view of value of what those things are. I know we're going in and out. Sorry about that, guys. But I was saying, yeah, due to working in a manufacturing plant, I got to see what the true cost of goods were, and what value is. It changed my mindset on how pricing works. Even being in Bitcoin and seeing how value is constructed, it really changed my view on the world. It helped cultivate a mindset of I don't necessarily need everything somebody presents to me.
Yeah,
I don't need all the accoutrement of the world, and that actually gave me, I don't know, it made me grateful for what I did have in terms of people and realistic goods. And so that's something that, again, perspective can help mold and shape your viewpoint of the world.
Which is why you want to make sure that perspective is undergirded by the philosophy of love and the philosophy of freedom and liberty versus the other one, which is fear,
and scarcity.
Debt, scarcity,
FUD,
and poverty.
Yeah.
You know, so AIG.
Yeah, fear, uncertainty, and destruction.
Yeah, today we're talking about a few things, having an open conversation, and Laith, my man here, has been expounding on the importance of remaining coachable and talking about the power of the co-op when the co-op
working together
is undergirded by the spirit of working together
and love
versus the other end, which the one percenters on the other side, they operate out of self interest.
Yeah,
they will work together, but they operate out of self-interest, and as soon as you turn your back, you better believe it's going to be 20 knives coming for your back. And you're just talking about the importance of somebody in one of the Facebook groups that we have known as Wakoinda, where they posted their personal story or testimony about the power of the co-op Wakoinda and the spirit of giving and love that is undergirded there, and that here at Two Shy Guys and a Mic, one of the things that we act as is a sounding horn for that group, and as well as one who's always talking, pushing, and promoting positivity, love, and giving, and pushing that spirit.
Yep.
Just because that's just what we do. It's part of the brand of Two Shy Guys and a Mic. And that's all you're going to get out of us. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. That's our lane, and we are staying in it. We are from Kentucky, so we understand the importance of staying in your lane with your blinders on, given that we're coming up on Derby. So
I ain't a Derby guy.
You ain't a Derby guy, but it's, Derby affects all of us around here in the Kentucky area. So we're just talking about that.
Get to some of these comments.
Go ahead.
Rosamund said, in time as a co-op, you can together grow your own food, buy bulk, and pay less. Yeah, and that's the whole purpose, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, you can actually buy land. You can do there's a lot of different things you can do in a cooperative environment, which is the benefit of everybody working together. I mean, it's community. And also, I'm not mean mugging. It's just the sun's in my eye, and that's the way my face looks. See, what's going on, Wix? Let's see, what's up, Chris Boogie? Yeah, E2 Brute, that's right, Maurice. He said, yeah, on that selfish end. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to always, being around people that love you, they can help check you. They can check your ego. They can check your attitude, and even whether or not you're being selfish, which is the opposite of what the cooperative is about. Is making sure that we can share in the growth and wealth of everybody. So, for example, Me and Lamar have talked about this quite a few times. When we presented, we were at Money 2020. This was back in 2015. Man, that was 3 years ago. That's crazy.
Wow.
So we were in Money 2020, and so we were in a pitch competition with our business. But anyway, there was a guy there.
What's up?
What's going on, Patrick? And his name, I don't remember his name, but he had an app called Monk. And the whole purpose behind the application was he grew up amongst a group of people. He was from another country. His family was from another country. They were immigrants to the United States. They grew up in this, apartment complex together, and there was all of these different families. And what they would do every month was they would collect a pool of money for connection. At the end of the month, they would give the pot of money to one of the families.
Wow.
And it was the family's responsibility to utilize that money to go start a business, to get an education, or whatever they wanted to do with it. And every month they were obligated to contribute. So with that same model, which is actually kind of what Latrice was talking about yesterday, that same model, you can actually change the economics within a group of people by everybody working together and funding. So his family was able to start a business with the money that they received from that collective of people and actually get out of poverty, which was kind of the same thing that happened to a lot of the other people within that group. So cooperative economics can definitely change the landscape of your future once everybody sees the importance of working together. And here's the other benefit, because this question was asked to me this afternoon, before we came here, and they was like, so what's gonna happen? So how do you choose the family, and what happens? Because everybody's, he's like, our people. But they see one family getting it, everybody's going to be concerned and be like, okay, when is my turn? And I was like, well, there's different ways you can do that. With the Monk app, they were doing it randomly, or you just choose. It's like, you know what? This month is your month. Everybody agrees. And then we're going to collect this pool of money and invest it in you. But here's the benefit of working together. It's not just that pot, right? And this is why I was talking about transparency and letting everybody know where you are. If I know Kevin is in the same collective, right? If we're all in the same collective, and he's honest with me and lets me know the fact that he doesn't have food in his cupboards, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to help him. I'm going to help him out, because his success benefits all of us. Because if he can't contribute to the pot,
that's holding down the group.
It holds down the whole group. So me knowing that Kevin has a need, it's more than just me putting in the $100 a month. I'm like, hey man, guess what? You can come over here and eat with us this week or this month or whatever. You figure it out, because if everybody can be open and honest with one another, then the benefit of the individuals within that group helps the whole group. We always say high tide raises all ships.
Yep.
But if the ships aren't in the harbor, then they can't be raised. So I want to make sure that his ship stays in the harbor, so that when the high tide does come in, we all get raised up. So that's one of the concepts that we have to start thinking about, and rethinking how a lot of our own finances work, and start coupling with people to start. Yeah, you start fostering bonds, then that's perfect. So we have to start fostering those real true bonds and be like, look man, it's like, hey, things ain't working out this month. I need a little extra help. It's like, I don't need a lot. Anything you can spare can help me out. And if I'm truthful and honest with that, then I guarantee people that love you will help you out. Guarantee.
And that's frightening when you come out of a culture, out of a world, out of a neighborhood where there isn't the case. I mean, some of us may still be located in physical locations that don't foster this attitude. But when you go online, you can connect with and join in and align yourself with groups like Wakonda, where this is fostered, and you can help supplement that.
Yeah, and even make it happen in your own neighborhood.
Make it happen in your own neighborhood.
Because like I said, the dudes with Monk, I mean, they were living like in the pride. They were poor. They were poor immigrants, and they just decided to bond and connect their united wealth. Because again, it's like sometimes if you have very little, you don't understand how collectively you have a lot.
Wow, yeah.
And that's and sometimes it's like, I always call it, Lamar calls it potluck capitalism. I call it rock soup. Hold on, don't go too far down. Okay. And I call it rock soup. If you've ever read the story of Rock Soup, there was a village, and in the village, people didn't have a lot. They were all poor. And so one day a guy decided, he's like, you know what? I'm going to take this big pot, put it in the middle of the village, and I'm going to start rock soup. So he's put the pot in the middle of the village, poured water into the pot, started a fire, and he put one rock. And what happened was people was like, oh, you know what would go good in that soup? Here, I got some carrots over here. So the one neighbor came out and brought some carrots, and somebody's like, hey, I got some potatoes in my cupboard. And then eventually everybody started chipping in, and guess what? There was enough to go around. The rock soup actually became a potluck, going back to Lamar's analogy, a potluck for the whole community, and everybody had enough to eat. And that's the thing. Sometimes separately our resources are very limited, but together our resources are powerful. And that's what we have to realize in terms of working together and working in a loving environment, to where it's like, you know what? Together we can make our little a lot. Let's go to some of these comments.
All right.
Let's see, I've always wanted a community, as my wife, I always wanted a community with family and friends living on the same land with the food forest. Leif and Kev know this. Yeah, definitely. And I've actually seen this. I know that they started a community garden. It's a food forest, not a community garden, a food forest in Austin. It was my first time actually seeing it in person. And they have little things within particular communities. And they're really not as difficult to start as people think.
No.
It just takes willingness.
It just takes one person just be willing to just start it.
It takes willingness and commitment, and this stuff can get jump started. Doing the right thing doesn't take a lot of effort sometimes. Sometimes and again, this goes back to our mind and what we think takes a lot. Think about I know we mentioned Wakanda a lot. This is not a Wakanda infomercial by any means. But even think about how we started Wakanda. It started off as the Black Coin Group or something like that. I can't even remember the name now. It's been just a few months ago. But it was literally like, hey, we should start a group. My man Rocky Miller threw it out there while we were doing a live, and we started the group, and this is what we got. It was that simple. It didn't take a whole lot. And a lot of times we think working together or doing something with somebody else takes a whole lot, but all it takes is willingness. It's really it. See, my man Chris Boogie said he's going to utilize this beautiful day and he'll revisit this later. Hey, do your thing, bro.
Do your thing, yeah.
You see, we're outside. What's going on, Patrick? Latia said, me too, Shauna, but my family thinks I'm crazy. That's why you got it. Hey, my man Kevin was talking about it. When were you talking about? Last night? He said, friends are family that you get to choose.
Family that you get to choose.
Yeah, so go choose your friends. What up, Damon? Wakita, what's going on? Let's see. Basically, economics of scale with group
economics. And this is done by other groups, by the way, all the time.
All the time.
That's why you got Little China and you got Mexico, whatever state, country, or wherever you go, you're going to find Little Italy, Little Russia. You're going to find all this, but you ain't going to find Little Wakanda yet anywhere. So that's what we're working on.
My man Damon said, true family and community is about strong. That's it, brother. See, fostering bonds. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. He said cupboards, bro. He said, is he also eating pork? No, it was an old book. Let's see, it said people don't get it. Family co-ops work, group economics work, definitely. Ray Shine said, just listening to the realness of all this is so touching and a major spirit, real talk. We appreciate that for real. FPN restricted, I don't know what that means. Nice, appreciate it, brother. Exactly, Kev. Tara says, Shauna, we just need more examples out there. Once people see the ideas flourishing, it'll be more widely accepted.
And that is something that is being pushed in other cultures, in other places. For example, one title you'll notice is intentional communities. That's one term.
Yep.
And there's some other terms too, where people do actually get in groups. They form co-ops. They buy land. They build houses, they share cars, they share wealth,
homesteads,
the whole nine. So this isn't something that's new. It's just it isn't talked about or pushed out there in mainstream that much, and that what it acts as a solution to the problems that the mainstream creates, in order for the mainstream to also provide you that solution with a hook in it, versus. When we do co-ops and stuff like this operates as a way to exit the matrix.
Yeah.
The matrix and then Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
group economics. You have to think that way. And when we say economics, it's not just finances. It's just the economy as a whole and how we operate within our given society. So it takes groups of people to do that.
Economics forms the foundation.
Yep.
It's the driver. It's the, just for example, just taking the example of Black Panther and Wakanda in that movie, given that it acts as a blueprint, or it acts as maybe a goal or a picture of what could be, the possibilities. And that, one of the drivers was the economy that was built on the technology with the resources.
Yep.
The what's it called? What's the resource called?
Vibranium? What are you talking about?
Commodity. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The commodities.
Like,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
talking about? Real life?
And I'm just going along this line because I'm thinking about Avengers just came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely gonna go see that.
I'm kind of a nerd geek.
Yeah. One of the things, and I was actually talking to a pastor as well about this very concept, and a lot of times we were talking about churches and using the Bible examples, and I was like, one of the things that discourages people in terms of a church family buying into this, as even aside from tithes or even with tithes, is the fact that they don't see it coming back to them all the time. Sometimes you have pastors or lay people that take all the money and nothing goes back to the people outside of the building in which they built. And so if you started doing just imagine what this would look like in a church setting where people give and that money is actually redistributed out to the people within the church. They actually do that, but the problem with the church is sometimes that they don't necessarily, and again, this goes back to fostering love amongst the community and amongst people, because they'll help families silently, but nobody knows about it because, you want to, I understand the reason why they do this. I definitely get church dynamics, because if I help Kevin's family, Kevin, he might be like, don't let anybody know I need this, right?
Yeah.
So the church doesn't necessarily disclose the money that they give to help people, because I know when my cousin died years ago, I was 20 years old. We were the same age. 22 actually. We were the same age when he died. The church actually helped our family, and it actually made me realize the importance of church, honestly, because I was one of those people like, I don't need to go to church to
have a connection with
to have a connection or relationship with God, but I understood the importance of the unity of the people. But again, going back to that same model, if we actually showed that or made it very deliberate that we're going to give money to each of the families within the church, more people would buy into it, because a lot of times churches are made up of people that don't have a lot. And so they have an ingrained scarce model built into their psyche, because of course we live in the society in which we live in, so they don't see it as abundance. And so if I'm giving my abundance constantly to the church and I don't see any result coming back to me or the people within the church, then that gets very discouraging for a lot of people, as well it should.
A lot of people, I've run into a lot of people who have had that church hurt, so to speak, where they actually see misusage, but it does not it does not put to futileness the need and necessity for a church. And all a church is church, the actual word means called out. A community, people who have aligned themselves along a certain line. So just don't let the corruption and the misuse of a few get in way of the model that's been set, that the model for successful living that other cultures use, and they don't place outside of a church setting, and that we can use too, and that we're implementing in various ways in our walks and in our life too.
Ray Shine said that's why it really takes being consistent and staying plugged into communities like Wakanda for real. When you have been around takers so long until you have nearly nothing, you have to reteach yourself to engage openly again. So I'm excited to be renewed. Hey, I definitely understand that. Again, hurt people, and when you've been hurt by so many, your trust level decrease. You become secure because it's a self-defense mechanism, which is very understandable. But again, it's sometimes that self-defense mechanism can be your detriment.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you from being open to possibilities.
Man.
Because you think everybody is a taker and a stabber, and sometimes you're just in the wrong location or around the wrong people without even realizing it. So I definitely get that. Think about it. It's the same thing that happens in relationships. It's like, oh, I used to, that's why some women hate men because of the way they were treated. Some men hate women, so on and so forth, because of the dynamics of the relationships that they've had in the past and the examples that have been around them. So definitely, going back to what Kevin was saying earlier, modeling is very important, so you can see what it looks like, and seeing what it looks like can give you an aspiration that you can accomplish it yourself.
Man.
So that's definitely an important thing, and I get that wholeheartedly. See what Kita, she said, now I'm beginning to understand why my family had family members who surrounded each other.
Yep.
They had their own homes right in the same area, next door, across the street, and across the field. Most had gardens to share their fruits, vegetables.
She's
exactly.
Right. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Exactly.
I was thinking about that not too long ago, and just looking at what my kids experience and deal with versus what I experienced in the past, and that it was nothing for me to go down the street a few blocks and see grandmother, auntie, great auntie, to see cousins. I had a bunch of play cousins, all in one locale. But now it's like I go outside, nobody's outside. Everybody's inside playing video games, and nobody's really mixing. I really don't know my neighbors too much where I'm at now. So all these things have to be purposeful.
Yeah, you have to be purposeful.
Intention.
That's why they call them intentional communities now, because you have to think about it. You have to focus on cultivating that, because it doesn't happen. It's not by happenstance that these things come about. You have to purposely be like, okay, we're going to go here. We're going to live here. We're going to do this as a group, as a unit. Because think of the benefit of that, right? The fact that, like, again, going back to Latrice's video, she talked about this. She's like, my mother's here, my brother's here, so each of us have babysitters if we need them. If I'm working, then they can go pick up the kids, so on and so forth. Again, you start working together toward those common goals, and you start filling in the gaps where you need them. Shauna said sometimes it boils down to people being fearful of running out of resources, fear of giving.
Literally.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the scarcity model, meaning the fact that having little, you think that it's the end of the world. It's like, if you have less.
It's a mind thing. It really is hard to get. For some people, it's hard to get.
The system's built up very well. It's built very well to make you dependent upon the system itself as opposed to one another. And again, the power is within us to do this stuff. It really is. It boils down, again, going back to the rock soup model, going back to the shared economics model. If all we have is $1, then we need to get enough people to buy. I'll go against the vegan thing and say to buy a cow. We just buy a cow so we have enough steak for all of us to last throughout the year. It's that simple, because when you start thinking about it, because then you can buy bigger things that can be dispersed. Because the bigger, again, it goes back to the bulk buying thing, right? Because per unit it becomes cheaper. So you start getting more people into your unit to where now you can buy things that are affordable that once at one point in time is not affordable as a single person.
Man, I learned that just like simple economics.
Yeah.
Like when Black Mama T.
Yeah.
Talking about she buys
Vanessa
kilos.
Braxton. Vanessa Braxton.
Talking about she buys kilos.
Yeah.
And when you talk about kilos, for an individual that can be expensive, but for a group, it's better to buy the kilo and then cut it off.
Of course.
And then you
because now you can disperse it.
Yeah,
exactly. Because here's the dilemma with Costco and things like that, right? Is the fact that we shop at Costco or Sam's or wherever. You buy bulk. And the problem is, if you buy fresh, then your fresh things are gonna go sour or stale or whatever.
Yeah.
They're gonna rot and mold. But if you buy bulk and you have people to dispense
avenues to dispense it to,
then it doesn't go bad.
I see that every year. One of the habits that I've cultivated is shopping farm direct. Yeah. And one of the things that I know, one of the reasons why I always push people wherever they're at to make direct relationship to the farm, straight to the source, is that a lot of people don't know that a lot of these farms and stuff have like access and abundance that they literally
have to throw
have to throw away because they don't have the means to get a lot of stuff out in the community.
Distribution is a very real thing.
Yeah, it's a very real thing. I believe that we could solve world hunger just through distribution, but the system that's set up loves the inequality.
No, it does.
That's in place, because that keeps people hurting.
Yep.
And when you got hurt people, then you can provide all the solutions that you need. But yeah, just one of the simple things I always push people to do is connect locally with whatever people you can. Network.
Yeah, got a network. Network is huge. It really is, and all it boils down to, like you said, connecting with people. That's it, and having real connections. Like Maurice said earlier in the comments, you start establishing bonds, and when you have bonds with people, then it goes a long way.
Yep.
Maria Odin said, "This is powerful. I talk of this all the time in my blog, the power of helping each other. However, many will only stay in line with who they know. They won't share, but don't mind you sharing with them. Everyone, I'm learning, can be business, but not
social.
Yeah, socially, with uplifting each other, especially in marketing. In addition, everyone marketing is not business minded. The key to success is networking. Potluck, the soup. Love that analogy. Talk it up. Blogger, I'm a nerd too. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with being a nerd. But yeah, and that's the thing, why you got to start cultivating that stuff. And that's why we premise and cultivate everything around the premise of love. It has to be around love, because love, because somebody, I know we haven't got to the comment yet, but I saw it pop up. Somebody mentioned, how do we keep this momentum going? Love.
Yeah, love.
Yeah, why do you keep paying the bills for your children? Love. I mean, because think about it. Children don't give you anything back other than love. I mean, they just random cute people that live in your house. You know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of model. You do it out of love. You do it out of
responsibility.
Responsibility and obligation to everybody, and that's what keeps us moving forward. Period. I mean, I even think
that's a good question, though. It is a good question. How do you keep the momentum and keep upping the ante on what you may be experiencing?
Everybody has to be engaged. That's truthfully how you keep the momentum going. You gotta, again, I'll say it, it's like, you gotta motivate yourself.
Man, because now you're hitting on Rayshawn. She said she's been renewed.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, now when you're renewed, what happens?
Yeah, when you're renewed, you pour that energy out. Okay. Pour that energy out and get enacted. I know some of the stuff that Rayshawn's doing, but that's what it takes. Just keep doing that. Because again, you're gonna go through a period, and this is everybody's period of life for any given thing. You're gonna go through a period where it seems like it's dry.
Yep.
Where you seem like you're not reaping any benefit. It's the Joseph analogy from the scriptures, right? 7 years of famine, that kind of stuff. So those
periods are hard, man.
So you gotta store those things up. You gotta store that energy. You gotta store the resources in terms of helping people. Again, me helping people without receiving anything back is actually me storing up abundance. And if you think about it in the standpoint, because each one of us at any given chance can give to somebody else in the group. But if it's not stored up, or if it's not collected amongst us, then it can't be distributed back out. So we got to start this.
That's like the social blockchain.
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. Human beings are the best resource on this planet. I say it all the time because I truly believe it. We're the best resource on this planet, and this is bar none. So if we start working toward each other, and again, all it boils down to is love. If I love you, I'm gonna help you. It's that simple. I think about the people we love that are terrible people, but we love them and we help them even though we know we shouldn't. But just think about having that love reciprocated. That's powerful. That's real, and that can be ongoing. See, right? It's so hard to trust people, and that's why we got to cultivate that over time, very incrementally. Those kinds of things, we cultivate that, and because here's the thing: you have some modicum of trust for everybody. I don't care what you say. We say we don't trust people, but we actually do. And I always go back to, we trust people when we buy their food. We go to the store, buy stuff from people we don't know. We use products on our bodies that we don't even know where they got it from.
It says it on the label, but I don't know.
Eat a lot of things. We have all of, and then. And it's like, even being around Kevin, it's like, I trust him not to punch me right now. I might just go flip. So there's some level of trust, right? But again, you gradually grow that trust by actions. actions speak louder than words. So you do small things together, and again, that's how you start building momentum, right? If I do something often enough, then you can pretty much bank on the fact that I'm going to continue to do that. Yeah, humans are fallible, of course, but if I do something very consistently enough times, then you can develop enough trust in me that I'm going to keep doing that.
Speak to the power of habit and ritual.
That's it. Habit, ritual, those kinds of things. So if I constantly show that I give and that I care, then eventually you'll believe that I give and I care, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing. I have a track record. So we got to start building up a track record in our community. That's why developing the bonds that Maurice talked about, strong bonds, network. We tend to think, like, hey, what's up, Kev? What's up, Lave? No, a network and a strong bond is like, hey, brother, what do you need? I'm gonna help you out. What do I need? He's gonna help me out. Those are real bonds. It's like, okay, I know Kevin's kids. I've been to his house. He's been to my house. Those kinds of things, to where now there's a certain level of trust that we have for one another, that I know he's not gonna cheat me or do anything like that. So if I leave my wallet on the table and walk away, I'm not worried about my resources being gone when I return. That's the kind of stuff you have to build up. I mean, we didn't start off best friends. We didn't start off like real good friends. It's like I just saw him at the gym.
Man, I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Like, how do I know?
I used to see Kevin at the gym years ago, back when I used to work when I was in athletic training and those kinds of things. I used to see him all the time. It was just, what's up? We never even talked. But over time, it's like I would see him, and I saw him at church one time, and then we started conversing, and then over time, you start building that rapport, that relationship, that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh man, Kevin's a cool dude. He's awkward, but he's a cool dude.
He's socially awkward, but hey, we all got our faults,
Yeah, but so that's how you start building trust. And again, this is not something that happens overnight, but it's something that happens very intentionally and over time. Let's see, Arturo Bond. What's up, Arturo? He said, I pray that this momentum continues. It doesn't fall into the passing fad category. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Said, we have truly built a loving village with the potential of making monumental forward progress. Yeah, bro, and that's the thing. It's like, again, we have to keep participating, and that's what makes it grow, because it doesn't take a whole lot of people to get things moving. It doesn't take a whole lot of people, and once we start getting things moving in a more consistent and solid fashion, then more people will jump on board, because people like to see progress and momentum. People don't want to be left out.
The bandwagon, yeah.
Yeah, people don't want to be left out. Let's see, Ray Sean said, groups say it is the way to save and the way to go. Definitely, Ray Sean. That network locally, a real connection. Engage, activate, cultivate, and teach. Repeat. That's real. Watch, rinse, repeat. Do it over and over and again. And that's how it just works. Said the way you bond with people is truly caring about them, talking to people about what they like, love, their family, etc. And that's very true. Again, it's developing those deep bonds, those deep connections, those deep relationships. Again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So caring is the way to get in the door. It's the way to stay in the door, and that's the way to keep the bonds connected. You got to care for people. Like I said, sometimes it hurts, but you still have to care for people, because, again, that's what life is about. It's about our bonds and our relationships. Yeah, and even going back to what I was saying earlier, we're heading inside to get closer to the router. Kevin's about to dip, and we're about to close out. Oh, this transition. Yeah, but even what we were saying earlier, here, shut the door and lock it for me, please, sir. Even what we were saying earlier is one, caring about people and actually appreciating the day in which you're around them, appreciate the time which you spend with people, appreciate the time that you're on this earth. Okay, yeah, we're just coming downstairs to get closer to the router. But yeah, you just have to cultivate those relationships, people, and again, just be consistent with it, be consistent with your love. And the thing about love is that it's not self-wanting, meaning that it's not about yourself, it's about everybody else as well. So that eliminates greed, that eliminates abuse, that eliminates a whole lot of different things, and it makes people teachable, it makes them coachable. And so if we're not living up to what we need to be within this group environment, then that love will make it to where we can teach one another and help affect the way we treat one another, and then everybody will pretty much, for lack of a better term, comply.
Comply. contribute.
Yep. Yeah, my wife said I trust people until they give me a reason not to. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you, Rayshawn. Thank you, Wakita. And so this is pretty much, again, it was kind of an open conversation, even though we went down the path of the cooperative and seizing the day and that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, it fell in line with what we talked, what I set up, the points that we were going to hit on in the beginning.
Yep.
Today, we just wanted to talk about remaining and cultivating a heart in which you're coachable, and that you're able to just remain open and available for instruction and for reception versus being closed off. And when you do that, that opens you up to the many possibilities. One being forming relationships in a community with others, and with the under the label of a co-op versus some of the other labels like capitalistic or socialistic or fascistic. So we decided to go to talk about the co-op.
Yep.
And that it's a great model that provides one of opportunity for prosperity, abundance, and a strong, loving community when it's undergirded by
Yep.
the spirit of love and giving.
Yep.
It has that philosophical undergirding of freedom and liberty, and letting people just be people and do what they do and just love them where they're at.
Yep.
So I know we said a mouthful. Today was, the Saturday open mic show. We just wanted to kind of just talk about a few things. So this is Two Shy Guys and a mic with your man Jay Kev.
Lake Taylor.
Here just helping and hoping to inspire and motivate and encourage you. Just have you stop for a moment wherever you're at and just have some words that will help you remain focused and keep momentum wherever you may find yourself.
Yep.
So with that, I think we're gonna stop it off for the day, and we definitely appreciate and love and are thankful and grateful for the attention and time that you spend and pay with us. Hopefully the return on investment is worth your while. So thanks. Love you all.
Yeah, love you. Remember to like and share this wherever you can. Be loving and work together. Peace.
Peace.